Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. Now that parts of the economy are opening up, we're starting to see the opening up of the courts as well. We're continuing to see rising cases of COVID-19, which has claimed 150,000 lives in the U.S. since March and 9,000 lives in Canada. With that, we're starting to see litigation associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. A report in the Wall Street Journal on Thursday reported that hundreds of lawsuits have been filed for damages caused by the pandemic. Employers across the country are being sued by the families of workers who contend their loved ones contracted lethal cases of COVID-19 on the job, a new legal front that shows the risks of reopening workplaces. Walmart, Safeway, Tyson Foods, and some healthcare facilities have been sued for gross negligence or wrongful death since the coronavirus pandemic began unfolding in March. Employees' loved ones contend the companies failed to protect workers from the deadly virus and should compensate the family members as a result. Workers who survived the virus are also suing to have medical bills, future earnings, and other damages paid out. The stories in the Wall Street Journal article are, frankly, heartbreaking. There are stories of people who were told to report to work or be fired. Some employees were told a protective mask would not help and not to wear a mask. Clearly, we have millions of people who have been exposed to a high-risk pathogen without the appropriate precautions. But this is not just an issue of workplace safety. The virus doesn't care if you're at home, at work, at a social event, lounging by the swimming pool. If you're a tenant in a multifamily apartment complex, you need to feel safe in your own home. You need to feel safe in the common areas. If it can be shown that a landlord acted negligently and a tenant slips and falls on an icy walkway, well, you can expect a lawsuit. It stands to reason if you follow the same chain of logic that if a tenant uses the gym amenities and contracts COVID-19, there might be a case against the landlord. The risk of lawsuit is very real. One of the companies that's the target of litigation is Tyson Foods. The families of 3 employees who worked at Tyson's pork processing plant in Waterloo, Iowa, died after contracting COVID-19, and they sued the meat company and nearly 20 of its executives, managers, and supervisors in June of this year. More than 1,000 employees were infected with COVID-19 at that facility. 5 have died, according to the lawsuit. The complaint filed by the family says that the company acted with gross negligence because it encouraged sick workers to come to work, and it failed to implement or convey a range of safety measures to workers, many of whom don't speak English. The families are seeking unspecified economic, non-economic, and punitive damages. Now, if you own a multi-tenant building, whether it's an office building, a residential building, you have risk of litigation if someone gets sick. You need to make sure that the common areas and public bathrooms have a much higher standard of cleaning than normal. There's a real cost to these additional protocols. In the office building that I manage, we've instructed members of the public who might enter the building to call in advance. They're to wait in their car until their appointment. They'll be escorted into the building and then directly into their appointment. The waiting rooms are closed, they're off limits, the chairs are off limits with yellow caution tape. The communal staff kitchens are used very differently. Today, all the dishes and coffee cups have been removed. All of the consumption will unfortunately use disposable cups and plates. I hate the additional waste that's been created by the current conditions, but we can't have dirty dishes being left in the sink for others to handle. Senior homes are another area of risk. There have been numerous outbreaks in nursing homes in Europe, Canada, and the U.S., and tragically, these outbreaks have ripped through the population of these long-term facilities. The loss of life has been staggering. Here, too, this is an area of risk. What about hotels? The common areas, the food and beverage establishments, they all represent areas of risk. Now, our legal system is not just about what's happened, but it's also about what you can prove. It's not about what you know, it's what can be independently verified. You definitely want to strengthen your cleaning and sanitizing protocols. That alone may not be enough to prevent you from being sued. It's important to post placards and communicate your policies and procedures. If you're communicating what you're doing and documenting it, there's no guarantee it'll be enough to prevent someone from getting sick, but it becomes harder for someone to argue you were negligent. As you think about that, document and communicate what you're doing to protect your residents and your tenants. Have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.